The banging on my door is violent, like they're trying to break it down with a sledgehammer. My heart hammers against my ribs, so hard it hurts. I am just a quiet person who keeps to myself, so this kind of noise feels like a nightmare. I barely managed to unlock the deadbolt before 3 tall, serious officials in dark suits push their way inside my small apartment. They don't wait for an invitation. They don't even take off their hats. They look at me with eyes that are as cold as ice. "Amara Cole," one of them asks. His voice is deep and sounds like gravel rubbing together. My throat tightens until I can barely breathe. I nod slowly, my hand starting to shake. "Yes, that's me," I whisper. He doesn't smile. He just reaches into a leather briefcase and pulls out a stack of papers. "You've defaulted on a $150 million loan," he says. The words hit me like a physical punch. My world tilts, and I have to grab the back of my sofa to keep from falling over. "That's not possible," I stammer, my voice cracking. "I've never taken a loan in my life. I don't even have a credit card with a high limit." But they don't care about my words. They just place the heavy documents in my hands. I flip through the documents, and my hands are trembling so much the paper rattles. I am looking for a mistake, a typo, or a different middle name. But as I look closer, the blood drains from my face. It is all there. My full name, my social security number, my home address, my very own signature is at the bottom of every single page. It looks exactly like mine, with a little loop on the A and the sharp line at the end. The most terrifying part is the verification page. It shows biometric authentication. It says my fingerprint was scanned. It says my face was recognized by a digital security system. Everything checks out perfectly. In the eyes of the law, I am the person who walked into a high-level financial firm and walked out with enough money to buy a private island. "This is fraud," I whisper, looking up at the officers. My eyes are stinging with tears. I refuse to let fall. The officer's face doesn't move an inch. He looks at me like I'm just another criminal telling a lie. "Then prove it, Miss Cole," he says coldly. "Because right now, the system says you are liable. You owe $150 million, and we are here to start the recovery process." Liable. That word rings in my head like a bell. It means I am responsible. It means I am the one they will throw in jail. It means my life is over before it even really starts. My mind starts racing, trying to figure out how this could happen. Then, my phone buzzes on the coffee table. It is a text message from my older sister, Bianca. "Don't panic. I can explain," the message reads. My knees finally give out, and I sink onto the floor. Bianca. My sister has always been the louder one in our family. She is bold, beautiful, and admired by everyone. She walks into a room, and the air seems to change. She is untouchable. People love her because she is exciting and takes risks. I was always the quiet one, the careful one who stayed in the library while she was out at parties. She used to laugh at me during family dinners. She would say, "Amara's too soft for the real world. She's like a little mouse." Everyone would laugh along with her, and I would just smile and look at my plate. But this isn't a joke or a mean comment. This is a betrayal, so big I can't even wrap my head around it. I can't wait for her to come over, so I call Bianca immediately. My hands are shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. She answers on the second ring, sounding completely normal. Her voice is bright and happy, like she is just out shopping or having a coffee. "Oh, they came already," she sighs, and I can hear her sipping a drink. My voice is high and shaky. "You used my name, Bianca? How could you do this?" I am crying now, the tears finally spilling over. She doesn't sound sad or sorry. She sounds annoyed that I am making a big deal out of it. "It was just business, Amara. It was a temporary thing. I needed a clean name for a specific investment, and yours was the only one that worked." "For $150 million, I scream into the phone. The officials are still standing in my living room, watching me. Bianca laughs lightly, a sound that makes my skin crawl. "Relax, sis. I'll fix it. I'm moving some funds around right now. Give me a few days." That is when the truth hits me like a bolt of lightning. She is lying. She never planned to fix it. She used me as a shield, so she could take the money and leave me with the debt. Within hours of that phone call, the nightmare gets even worse. Everything I own starts to lock down. I try to buy a bottle of water at the corner store, but my debit card declined. I check my banking app, and it says account frozen. My travel access is revoked. My credit score, which I worked so hard to keep high, drops into the dirt. I am flagged across every financial system in the country as a high-level fraud risk. I feel like I am drowning in a dark ocean. I can't pay my rent. I can't buy food. I am stuck. Meanwhile, I see Bianca's social media updates. She is posting photos of luxury dinners with 5-star chefs. She is drinking expensive champagne on a private balcony. She looks like she doesn't have a care in the world. She is living freely on the money she stole using my identity, while I am sitting in my dark apartment waiting for the lights to be turned off. The unfairness of it makes my stomach turn. She thinks because I am quiet, I won't fight back. She thinks because I am soft, I will just sit here and let her ruin me. She has no idea who I really am. Bianca thinks I am weak. She thinks I am invisible because I don't post my life on the internet. She thinks I am ordinary because I work from home and don't wear designer clothes. But Bianca doesn't know what I have been building quietly for the last 5 years. While she was out being the star, I was working in the world of high-level cybersecurity and data architecture. I have built a network. I have created systems that track global money flow. I have influence in places she can't even imagine. I am the person that big companies call when they have a problem they can't solve. I don't speak loudly in public, but important people listen very carefully when I do. I have always preferred to stay in the shadows because it's safer and quieter there. But now, my sister has forced my hand. She has brought the light right to my door, and it's burning my life down. I realize that to save myself, I have to stop being the little mouse. I have to step out of the shadows and use the tools I've created to take her down. It's time to show her that the quiet ones are the ones you should fear the most. Just as I am sitting down at my computer to start my own investigation, a restricted number calls my phone. Usually, I don't answer unknown calls, but something tells me to pick this one up. "Miss Cole," a woman's voice asks. She sounds professional and very serious. "We believe you've been framed." My heart stops for a second. I take a deep breath. "Who is this?" I ask. She identifies herself as a high-level financial investigator for a global task force. "We've been tracking this specific $150 million loan for weeks," she explains. "The paperwork was too perfect. It looked like a professional hack, not a standard loan application. We started looking into your background, and we realized you didn't have the spending habits of someone who needs that much cash. It turns out that someone powerful is watching. They have been monitoring the syndicate that gave out the loan, and they saw my name pop up. They realized the signature was a digital copy and not a physical one. They are on my side, and they want to help me prove that Bianca is the real person behind the crime." I feel a tiny spark of hope for the first time since the banging on my door started. The investigator and I start working together through a secure link. We begin to trace the money trail, and it is like following a spider web across the globe. Bianca was clever, I have to give her that. She used shell accounts in small islands. She used layered transfers that move the money every 6 hours. She tried to hide the investments behind fake company names, but she isn't a coder. She doesn't understand that every digital movement leaves a footprint, no matter how small. We follow the trail through a maze of computers and servers. We see the money moving from the syndicate to a bank in Switzerland, then to a holding company in the Cayman Islands. Finally, after hours of searching, the trail ends exactly where I knew it would, Bianca Cole. She didn't just take the loan to pay off some old debts or buy a new car. She used the $150 million to build a massive business empire in record time. She bought real estate, invested in tech startups, and created a luxury brand. She used my life as a gamble to build her own kingdom. Seeing the proof on my screen makes my blood boil. It wasn't just business. It was a cold, calculated plan to sacrifice her own sister for a pile of gold. I can't just sit behind a screen anymore. I need to look her in the eye. I find out that Bianca is at a high-end rooftop lounge in the center of the city, celebrating her latest success. I put on my best clothes and drive there. When I walk onto the roof, the music is loud and the lights are glowing. Bianca is in the middle of a circle of people, laughing and holding a glass of something that probably costs more than my car. When she sees me, she doesn't look scared. She just smiles like nothing is wrong and waves me over. "Amara, you look stressed, sweetie. Have a drink," she says, as if we are just hanging out on a normal Sunday. I pull her away from the crowd to a quiet corner. "Bianca, the investigators are talking to me. This isn't going away. You could ruin my life." I could go to prison for what you did. She leans closer, and I can smell her expensive perfume. Instead of apologizing, she looks me in the eyes with a cold stare. Or I could make us both rich, Amara. Stop being so scared. Once my investments pay out, I'll clear your name and give you a few million. Just stay quiet. She still doesn't see the damage she's done. She thinks everything has a price tag. I stare at her, my heart pounding against my chest like a trapped bird. She really thinks I am that easily bought. She thinks I am so weak that I will let her keep me in legal danger just for a few $1 million. She thinks she can still control me because she's the big sister. She expects me to shrink back and say, okay, like I always have. I look at her beautiful, smiling face and realize that she doesn't love me. To her, I am just a tool. I am a piece of equipment she used to get what she wanted. If the roles were reversed, I would have protected her with my life. But she threw me to the wolves without blinking. The sadness I felt earlier turns into a hard, cold ball of anger. I stand up straight and look her right in the eyes. I don't whisper this time. My voice is steady and loud enough for her to hear over the music. No, I say. That one little word hangs in the air between us. Bianca's smile finally falters. She looks confused, then angry. Excuse me, she asks. But I don't say anything else. I just turn around and walk away. Everything has changed now. The war has officially started. The legal storm hits faster than I expected. The investigators move quickly once I give them my full cooperation. The case escalates to a federal level because of the amount of money involved. Charges start looming over both of us because my name is still on the papers. My lawyer, a woman I hired with the last of my hidden savings, whispers to me during our daily meetings. We're running out of time, Amara, she says, looking at the clock. The syndicate is starting to put pressure on the courts. They want someone to pay, and they don't care if it's the right person or the wrong person. If we don't act now and provide the final piece of evidence, you're going to lose everything. I feel the weight of the world on my shoulders. I am spending 18 hours a day at my computer, digging through the code of the loan application. I am looking for the how. How did she get my biometric data? How did she bypass the security systems I built? I know there is a clue hidden in the digital logs, but it's buried deep. If I don't find it, I am the one who will be wearing handcuffs by the end of the week. On Tuesday night, while the rest of the world is sleeping, I finally find it. I am looking at the system breach logs when a specific code sequence jumps out at me. My breath catches in my throat. Bianca didn't just guess my password or steal my ID. She used my own credentials tied to a secure financial system I helped design years ago. She must have found my old backup drive when she stayed at my place last Christmas. She found the backdoor access keys I created for testing. This isn't just standard identity theft or a simple bank fraud. This is a federal-level breach of a protected financial network. By using my own tools against me, she made it look like I was the one who performed the hack. It is a brilliant and evil plan. She used my own genius to frame me, but she made one mistake. She used a version of the code that I had secretly patched a month ago. The patch left a signature of the user's IP address hidden in the metadata. I traced that IP address, and it leads directly to the router in Bianca's penthouse. I finally have the smoking gun. That proves she was the one at the keyboard. But as I am preparing to send the data to the investigator, I find out something even more terrifying. The loan didn't come from a normal bank or a standard investment firm. The trail of the lenders leads back to a private syndicate known as the Iron Hand. They are famous in the underground world for being ruthless. They don't use lawyers to get their money back. They don't wait for court dates. They don't forgive debts. And they definitely don't care about family drama. They expect their $150 million back with interest, and they want it now. If the person who took the loan can't pay, they have been known to make people disappear. I realize that Bianca has gotten us involved with people who are much more dangerous than the police. Suddenly, this isn't just about clearing my name anymore. It's about staying alive. These people don't care about biometric fraud or who signed what. They just see a missing pile of cash and two sisters named Cole. I feel a new kind of fear. A cold, sharp fear that makes the hair on my arm stand up. Bianca has put us both in the crosshairs of a group that never misses. The next morning, my phone rings. It's Bianca, but she isn't laughing this time. Her voice is shaking so badly I can barely understand her. Amara, please, you have to help me, she sobs. I stay silent, waiting. Some men, they came to my place this morning. They weren't the police. They were scary, Amara. They told me I had 48 hours to give them the money, or they would come back and take it out of my skin. They weren't polite like the officials. They weren't patient like the investigators. They were demanding repayment in a way that made Bianca realize her business empire was built on a foundation of dynamite. The same terror I felt when the officials first knocked on my door is now living in her. She is finally seeing the reality of what she did. She thought she was playing a game with numbers on a screen. She didn't realize those numbers belong to people who kill for a lot less than $150 million. She is trapped in the house she built, and the walls are closing in. I listen to her cry, and for a second, I feel a tiny bit of pity. But then I remember my frozen bank accounts and the liable document. The power shift is almost physical. I can feel it through the phone. For the first time in our entire lives, Bianca isn't the one in charge. She isn't the one with the answers. She is small, scared, and begging me for a way out. She finally asks the question she never thought she'd have to ask. What do I do, Amara? Please, tell me what to do. I take a long, deep breath. I don't yell. I don't mock her. I just speak with a voice that is as steady as a rock. You tell the truth, Bianca. You go to the investigators. You sign a full confession. You tell them exactly how you stole my identity and where every single dollar went. That is the only way the police can protect you from the syndicate. There is a long silence on the other end of the line. I can hear her breathing, fast and shallow. She is a proud person, and admitting she is a criminal is the hardest thing she will ever have to do. But she knows I am right. For the first time in 30 years, she actually listens to me. Okay, she whispers. I'll do it. The next 48 hours are a whirlwind of activity. We gather everything. I send my digital evidence to the investigators. We pull the access logs from my old backup drive. We print out every transaction record from the shell accounts. We build a mountain of evidence that is impossible to ignore. Every lie Bianca told begins to unravel like a cheap sweater. We show how she used my fingerprint from a glass I left at her house. We show how she used my old code to bypass the bank's security. The truth is finally louder than her confidence. The investigators are amazed at the level of detail we provide. Bianca sits in the corner of my lawyer's office, looking smaller than I've ever seen her. She isn't wearing designer clothes today. She's just wearing a plain hoodie and jeans. She is finally seeing herself for who she really is. A person who made a terrible mistake and almost destroyed her only sister. The evidence doesn't lie, and neither can she anymore. The day of the official hearing arrives. We are in a large, cold boardroom full of high-level officials and lawyers. The evidence is laid out on a long table like a map of a crime scene. Bianca sits frozen in her chair, staring at the floor. I sit across from her, feeling a strange sense of calm. The lead investigator starts to speak, going through each chapter of the fraud. As the minutes pass, the room gets quieter and quieter. All eyes shift from the documents to me. The officials realize that I was never the criminal. They see the genius it took to find the breach, and they see the honesty in my eyes. The lead official looks at me and nods. From suspect to victim, he says. My name starts to clear in the system. I can almost feel the flags being removed from my record. I am no longer a fraud risk. I am no longer a criminal. I am just Amara Cole again. But as my name clears, Bianca's name is being written into the defendant column. The weight of the $150 million is moving off my shoulders and onto hers. The fallout is instant and total. Bianca's empire begins to crumble before our very eyes. Her investments in the tech startups are canceled as soon as the news of the fraud reaches them. Her real estate holdings are seized by the government to pay back the syndicate and the banks. Her luxury brand, which she was so proud of, becomes a joke overnight. Accounts are frozen. Her partners, the ones who were drinking champagne with her a week ago, disappear into thin air. They don't answer her calls. They don't offer to help. They just run away so they don't get caught in the blast. Everything she built on a foundation of deception falls apart in less than a day. She is left with nothing. No money, no business, and no friends. The rooftop lounge and the private jets are gone. She is back in the real world, and it is a very cold place. I watch as she loses everything, and I realize that she finally understands what it feels like to be the invisible one. The deception didn't make her rich, it just made her a target. The story leaks to the media, and it explodes like a bomb. Headlines are everywhere. $150 million identity fraud case exposed. The sister who stole everything. My face isn't in the news, which I am thankful for, but Bianca's face is on every screen in the city. Her reputation is destroyed in a matter of hours. My innocence goes public. The banks issue an apology to me for freezing my accounts. The financial world talks about the mysterious coder who found the federal-level breach. People start to realize that I am the one with the real talent, not the sister who just looked good in photos. My credibility is higher than it's ever been. But as my innocence is celebrated, Bianca's guilt is cemented. She can't walk down the street without people whispering. She is the villain of a story. I see her name being dragged through the mud, and I feel a mix of emotions. I am happy to be clear, but it is a sad thing to see your own sister become the most hated person in the city. A few days after the case is officially settled, Bianca comes to my apartment. She doesn't bang on the door this time. She knocks softly, almost like she's afraid I won't open it. When I do, I barely recognize her. She has no makeup on. Her hair is messy. She has no confidence left, and the mask she always wore is gone. I didn't think it would go this far, Amara, she says, her voice barely a whisper. I really thought I could fix it before you found out. I thought I was being smart. I look at her and see a broken person. For the first time in our lives, she's not the stronger one. She's not the one looking down on me. She is vulnerable and truly sorry. I can see it in the way her hands shake and the way she can't meet my eyes. She realizes that her business was just a series of lies that hurt the person who cared about her most. We stand there in the hallway, and the silence between us is filled with the weight of everything that has happened. I sat her down and we talked for a long time. I realized I have a choice to make. I have enough evidence to send her to prison for 20 years. I could destroy her completely. I could make sure she never has a career or a reputation ever again. I could take my revenge and walk away, leaving her in the ruins of her life. But I hesitate. I think about our parents and the way we used to play together when we were kids. I think about the fact that she did come to me and ask for help when the syndicate showed up. I realize that power isn't just about revenge. True power is about knowing you can destroy someone but choosing to find a better way. I don't want to be like her. I don't want to be someone who uses people for my own gain. If I destroy her, I am just continuing the cycle of pain she started. I want to be the one who ends it. I look at my sister and decide that I will give her a chance to fix herself, but it will be on my terms, not hers. I set my conditions very clearly. There will be no shortcuts this time. You will sign a full legal confession that stays on the record. I tell her, you will cooperate with the authorities to pay back every single cent to the syndicate, so they leave us alone. You will work a normal job, and you will live a quiet life until the debt is settled. She nods through her tears. She doesn't argue. She doesn't try to negotiate. She knows this is the most mercy she is ever going to get. She agrees to go to counseling and to stay away from the world of high-risk investments. Redemption won't be easy for her. It will take years of hard work and humility. She has to learn how to be soft and quiet like I was. She has to learn that character is more important than fame. I watch her sign the papers, and I feel a sense of closure. I am protecting my family while also making sure justice is served. It is a hard path, but it is the right one. The case finally closes for good. My record is completely cleared, and I am even offered a job by the very task force that investigated me. They want my skills on their side. The $150 million debt is restructured through a legal settlement using the assets that were seized from Bianca's failed companies. The syndicate is paid off, and they move on to other targets. The danger is finally gone. Justice is served, and the world goes back to normal. But for me, the healing takes a lot longer. I still jump when I hear a loud noise. I still have trouble trusting people when they ask me for a favor. The betrayal left a scar that won't go away overnight. But I am working on it. I have a new apartment in a safer building, and I am finally starting to enjoy my life again. I am still the quiet one, but I am no longer afraid of the world. I know now that I have the strength to handle anything that comes knocking. A few months later, we have a small family dinner. It's just us and our parents. Bianca is much quieter now. She doesn't dominate the conversation. She doesn't brag about her clothes or her friends. She is more present, listening to what others have to say instead of waiting for her turn to speak. At one point, A distant cousin makes a comment about how I'm still the shy one and wonders if I'll ever break out of my shell. In the past, Bianca would have laughed and agreed. She would have made a joke at my expense to make herself look better. But this time, she stops eating and looks at the cousin. Don't underestimate her, Bianca says firmly. Amara is the strongest, smartest person I know. She saved our family, and she did it without having to shout. The cousin looks surprised and goes back to his food. I look at Bianca and see a different sister. The dynamic between us has changed forever. We are equals now. Tonight, I am sitting in my new living room reading a book. The city is quiet outside. Suddenly, there is another knock at my door. My heart skips a beat, but this time I don't panic. I don't feel that cold fear in my stomach. I know that I am protected and that I am in control of my own life. I walk to the door and open it calmly. It's just a delivery person with a package I ordered. I smile and thank them. As I close the door, I catch my reflection in the hallway mirror. I am not the same woman I was when this started. I am no longer the one people overlook or dismiss. I have stepped out of the shadows, and I know my own worth. I am no longer afraid of the bang on the door or the violent noise of the world. I am Amara Cole, and I am the one they answer to now. I go back to my sofa, pick up my book, and enjoy the beautiful, hard-earned silence of my life.